Hello, hello. Welcome to the HRart Rise Morning Show today, coming from a very different location. This is the new video conferencing room that I'm setting up. So this is a great little test here to see how the sound does, the video, and all of it. So one big difference here is that my monitor to see you, actually to see myself because I don't see you, is like ginormous. It's huge. Like my hands are outlining it. So if you see me going like this, that's me looking at myself. Yeah, so happy Visionfest 2021. That is what is happening here at Leadership Arts, which is why I am in the office today, bright and early, because we are setting up for that event. After I get off with all of you, I'll be doing the final prep for our first Create session that starts at 9 a.m. And this year is the first year we are doing it virtually, which I'm really, really excited because not only did it make it accessible to those who needed the safe space of their home to create because of the times that we're living in, it also made it accessible for people all across the country to join us and not only be in this local area. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really pumped about that. And that is kind of our topic today. So if we just click over here, my objective for today is that it is Visionfest 2021. It's the day when we come together and engage in a process that I've come to call creating connected canvases. This practice has become an essential tool for me staying in alignment with my connected path, and I'm going to share this practice with you. This is a conversation that comes up time and time again. I'm actually working on a chapter on this in my new book, The HRart Healer, because it's one step to do all the work to kind of clear out and become this clear vessel for delivery, be ready to do the work that you want to do that serves your highest potential and also serves your highest good. But then how do we stay there, like sustaining it and maintaining it with like any program in life? You know, it's one piece of the journey to get there, but then to embrace it and to live it. And it's a whole new way of life. And actually I was just not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, talking to a colleague, one of my peers in my medical Qigong training class about the struggle when we get exposed to the philosophies that surround traditional Chinese medicine and the way to live life and balance. You almost feel like you want to uproot yourself completely and go live in the mountains, and you know with a instinct belief that you would be okay doing so. Yet at the same time, part of the path of becoming a healer in whatever capacity, mine here working with professional HR professionals and helping you take care of yourself, I would not do much good on the mountain. And sometimes I even make this weird compromise that I'm going to like go away on the mountain and then come back. And maybe that will be my way of life. My spiritual teacher, one of them, Gabrielle Bernstein, not too long ago, she bought a house in upstate New York and she travels back and forth to the city. And it's actually quite a lifestyle I'm envious of because she does some of her best creative work out in the mountains, in the countryside, and then she still comes back and does some amazing work. And if you follow any of the really amazing spiritual teachers, which I'm just going to say, if we substitute the word spiritual with connected teachers or connected individuals in life, you'll see that that's a very particular rhythm that they have as they retreat into nature, which nature is one of the number one places that can ground us and restore us and be this nurturing place. And then coming back to do the work. And so that's how they sustain that balance, is almost these extreme immersions. So it's just fascinating to kind of watch that dynamic. Anyways, so today I want to talk about this process called the connected canvas because it was one of the first practices that I instilled when I did not have a lot of self-control. I wasn't 100% sure the direction I was going. So this is a practice that has evolved when I knew that I needed to rely on a higher level of guidance, even it being intuitively and something that I had to find within myself. So even though I knew that I had to rely on that, I didn't know how to tap into that. This is before I went down any of my many paths that I have in the last 6 years and evolved as a person. And this Visionfest has evolved as that. It started as Vision Day, where we basically just came together and did traditional kind of vision boards because that was the trend. And then it really kind of took on an evolution as I found myself being intuitively called to use this as a tool to provide actually affirmation throughout the year. And that's what I found. So a connected canvas actually reveals answers that cannot be articulated because they live in a space where linguistics is just not possible. And so the images allow us to see a beautiful kind of vision. And that's one of the first things that I just want to say before we get into posts to ponder. Do that all the time, but posts to ponder is that, you know, if you take anything from today, when you're doing your vision boards in whatever process that you deem doing that, let images speak. I know we're so tempted to want to do words. Words are comfortable. I 100% guarantee that the images are going to speak so powerfully. Even boards that I have seen with individuals who are not connected and cannot interpret and read what those boards are, you know, and anyone who's a true appreciation of art, there's an expression that happens there. There is a tenderness and intimacy that is truly embedded in that board, in that canvas, that you could not even imagine or fathom. It's at a level that you're just not able to comprehend and stress. I mean, there's times when I've looked at canvases that have been 100% intuitively driven. People will say, I have no idea what they mean, but it feels right. And it might not make sense to you 5 years from now. You'll come back and look at it and it will be crystal clear, because sometimes we're just in the weeds and it just can't make sense in that moment. But when I look at them, they stir something up in me emotionally. It brings me sometimes almost to tears on how beautiful life is and the potential of that person. And so this is what I'm talking about with Connected Canvas. And this is an internal debate. Obviously, I'm going on a soapbox because there is vision boards and it is a trend. And there's a lot of programs out there that are doing it. I saw that another practitioner that I love to follow, which is Colette Barron-Reed, she just did an entire week on vision boarding. Fantastic aspects of connecting and allowing it to be this guide, but then also combining it with being a manifesting power. Our Visionfest is more so about turning inward and trusting, because most of the people that work with me or come to the HRart Center here at Leadership Arts Associates, we're a bit lost. We're a bit working on our trust factor with ourselves and the connected path that we know is present for us. And so these canvases are meant to support that. But before we keep talking about that, let's move into post to ponder. Post to ponder. I feel like there should be a jingle, like post to ponder. I don't know. So let's see what we got here. I think they're all from Instagram. And I think this first post kind of lays out very nicely why they're probably all from Instagram. So this is from #Lightworker that I follow. I've talked about this before. The post was from Meditation Secrets, and it looks like it's a repost, but they covered it up, so I don't know who it is. But they said, unfollow Instagram models and influencers, start following artists and designers. Your entire outlook on life will change. Wholeheartedly agree. I have increased my Instagram feed, any of my feeds, basically more so looking towards artists and designers and allowing them to fill my feed in a very different perspective. So Wholeheartedly agree with this. I know some people have asked me before my philosophies on social media and how I kind of fill my feed, because I definitely have to be very restrictive on what I allow to show up in one of these channels, because they can be very triggering for me. And I have to watch that. So I am very protective about my feed. I'm very quick to unfollow if something triggers me. It's not usually anything that anyone should take personally, because it usually has nothing to do with you. It has more so to do with me and just the way that it lies. So you're, trucking along on your path and sharing what resonates with you. I am trucking on my path and dealing with what I'm dealing with. And sometimes we just clash or collide. And you've delivered a powerful lesson to me, but one that I don't want to keep reliving, or I have to unpack without being severely triggered as I'm going through it. So protect, I think, this post really is just a reminder of protecting those feeds and watch them. I'll be honest, Facebook, I'm not on really at all. I have accounts. Predominantly, if you want to get a hold of me on Facebook, is to follow my professional page, which is at Samm Smeltzer, because if you post on there, usually I pay more attention to it. My personal feed, I may be on it once every week, if that. Probably once every 10 days is more like it. All right, post number 2, #Lightworker again, from Spiritual Awakening 1. Everything is aligning for you. Trust it. And I thought that was just a perfect message that complements what we're talking about today, is that creating these connected canvases is all about trusting that things are aligning. And if you live in alignment, that it's all going to go and achieve that direction that you desire. So I'll just say that. And it does deal a lot with trust. Trust is a consistent kind of theme that we're going to keep hearing about in all the work that we do. If there's no trust with the people around you, if there's no trust with yourself, you'll just end up spinning your wheels and kind of being stuck in that hamster wheel. Post number 3, if you're a giver, learn your limit today, because these takers don't have any. If you live your life hoping that other people are going to establish their boundaries to protect you, you're going to give a lot. You're going to give extreme. The truth is that if you're a giver and you're interacting with takers, they probably are just as bewildered as how to set healthy boundaries as you are. And so this is from #empath. So speaking to empaths, which are heavy givers, because we take on those emotions and know what people need. And so we give. You've got to know your limits. You got to set your boundaries. So thank you at Soul Guidance for posting this, because very powerful reminder. This is probably one of my big themes for 2021, especially coming to my business, is figuring out what my limits are and where I want to put my energy so that I can create balance to take care of myself. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that I still know that I'm too heavy on the being busy side. That limits my ability to be impactful and add value and do the things that I really feel like I'm meant to be doing right now. So this is huge. This is huge. And recognize that those takers come in all, manifest in all wakes of life. So these are not just isolated professionally, they're personally as well. They're not just your chosen friends. They're also family members. They're also people who live in your home. So takers, it's innate nature, just like our innate nature is givers. So just be mindful of that. If you are a taker and you know that, I'm not asking you to call it out and you're just watching this, visit boundaries. That would be very helpful. Colette Barham Reed, so I just mentioned her and her vision event that she's done. It's okay to let go of pressure to belong with those with whom you don't fit in. Not everyone will understand you. It's time to move on. So we've seen a lot of messaging around conflicting vibrations. Those of you that are in the HR Intuitive Bootcamp, which if you're interested in doing that, go ahead and join at hrintuitive.com, 100% free. You can get caught up, get involved in our community. hrintuitive.com is to the HR Intuitive Institute, which is Growth for Connected Professionals. And we work there to we work there to create a community that is this truly safe space. It actually mimics and looks a lot like social media platforms, but my goal is that it is just a safe place of love without all of the distractions. So anyways, I say all that because we talked about conflicting vibrations, and I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to fit a certain mold, or when a relationship's not working. And this beautifully kind of gives you permission to just let it go and move on, and recognize that sometimes you'll have to just agree to disagree. And I think this takes it to a whole nother evolution. Post number 5. You're not reading this by accident. This is your confirmation that everything's going to be all right. Your miracle is on the way. Hashtag Lightworkers, Awakened Healers. So these little things of affirmation, I think what was most powerful about this post is the first line. You're not reading this by accident. When I read that, what it really said to me is that, there's a lot of things that happen in life that we could say is just a coincidence. It just kind of happens. But realizing that it's not by accident. Everything is so intentional and purposeful. And this is a great transition to connected canvases, because that is what that canvas really represents, is, especially when you look back at it at the end of the year, is that my train of thought just went kapla, is that everything is intentional and not by accident. And I think that's one of the coolest things. As I was looking back on my professional canvas, there was a microphone that I didn't know what it meant. I mean, I know I speak, I know I podcast. This past year, my podcast went through a very huge evolution that I anticipated, because I was bringing it back. It relaunched in 2020. I had lots of intention. I was going to put out all these episodes. But in the fall of 2020, I, for the first time, interviewed a stranger. So I don't usually do that on the podcast for a multitude of reasons. I'll be honest, it started because I was very uncomfortable. I'm an introvert, and the idea of wanting to ask somebody to interview, what if they said no? Yeah. So out of nowhere in fall of 2020, I had someone reach out and ask me to be on the podcast because they thought they would be a good fit. And I resisted. I resisted so much. And they engaged in this dynamic dialogue with me that convinced me to at least have an initial call and see if it could be a fit. And what a game changer. We had 2 beautiful episodes that we recorded. It's the guys from PTO Genius. I've been talking about this all over the place as my reflection, but I actually, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, contacted Adam from PTO Genius and shared with him that as I was doing my final reflections for the year, what a game changer he was and how grateful I was for him. At the time when that was happening, would not have known what that was unleashing or opening. But I have really met some unbelievable people through the podcast. I've created some really awesome relationships that have just started. But it's just expanded my world so rapidly in a short time frame. And started with one email. And then a constant response of someone who just did not give up on me. A stranger who did not give up on me. Because the only way that he knew of me was randomly clicking through episodes on the podcast. So that's an example of just nothing is by accident. Like, why did I respond to that email? I could have easily said it was spam or not of value. Why did I engage in that dialogue? it's not by accident. It's 100% intentional. And I believe that the podcast, just like how I was called to bring it back and invest energy into it, it's meant for something much greater. And so that's happening. Last but not least, yesterday I was talking to my coach, and there's one image left on my vision board, which is this cave coming out into the light. And we had this really deep conversation about fear, and she said this quote that she said, it's time to come out of the cave. Our brains want to keep us safe and keep us in that dark cave. It's time to come out of the cave. And nothing by accident. She just totally interpreted what that last image meant. So these are the things that happen on a connected canvas. And so today I want to talk about the process that we use here, that I wholeheartedly believe in, so that you can engage in this practice. You don't have to just use this for annual planning. I use this with clients all the time when we're trying to find an answer and we don't know what it is, to build up the intuitive muscle and skill set, but also to find an answer that we linguistically cannot articulate at that time. So it really comes down to 3 main steps. The first one is to begin with centering and intention. So I put an image up here of meditation, which is a great way to center an intention. But really, it starts with just quieting the mind, taking some deep breaths, and really setting the intention of being open and saying that this is what I want to know and see, and I trust, and I'm open to seeing what you have in store. Here for Visionfest, I do a custom visualization exercise, which everyone experiences during the 30-minute orientation, which is around a theme. This year, the theme is called landmarks. So looking for these creating almost like an actual map for the year. But it's meant to center and set the intention. So whether they go on the visualization exercise or not, it really is just a moment of stillness and inviting and saying, I'm here and I'm present, and show me what 2021 has in store for me. And they're just hanging out at that vibration, and then they enter into the create space with that mentality. So you want to start there. When I work with clients and we're doing this on a generic kind of platform, I say just, take a pause, take a deep breath, and just ask the question. So like, I'm ready for what's next, and I have no idea what that is. So show me what you got. And that intention will be strong enough, and they collect images over a week to 2 weeks to a month. And so it works, but it takes that moment of intention. And sometimes that moment, I set a lot of my intentions right before I go to sleep, because it's the only time that I actually chill out, or nap time. I was just talking to someone yesterday about this beautiful practice of napping and how we enter almost kind of like a meditative state. That's how my napping practice is, and apparently not just me, because he has it too. And being able to just chill out and use that time before you kind of, fade away into nappy land, to set an intention. Because that intention will be instilled there, and then things will start to work. And once again, nothing is by accident. Number 2, the art of gathering. So I put these seashells on because I've watched people for the last 5 years gather for Visionfest. People who gather before they come. And really, any kind of guidance I give is anything that you think will resonate with you. People, because of the Visionfest trend, they come with certain goals in mind, so they look for images that represent that. When we're doing a connected canvas, it really is about looking for things that speak to you. So if you think about if you've ever collected seashells, if you have not, I highly recommend the next time that you're on the beach and you see shells to do this. But gaze at which ones draw your attention. And even this image, which ones speak to you versus which ones don't. Which ones, if I told you you had to have 3, which ones would you pick over which ones you would not? it is just one of those things that is an art. So when we're thinking about gathering and collecting the images, I used to call this the intuitive pull. So you would pull from magazines and look for things that were speaking to you. But it's an art, and we're gathering. And the whole exercise I did that said, if you had to pick 3, which ones would you pick? The initial gathering is just anything that speaks to you. So you get to pick up that whole big bucket of shells. And then when we get to the board, then you have to pick and choose. What fits on the board, what does not fit on the board, what are you going to hold on to, and what are you not going to hold on to. And that's step number 3 that we're going to get to in a moment. But when we're gathering, it really is just listening and with no judgment. And I love the imagery of seashells, because what dictates that one shell is better than the other? I've seen people who, well, bigger is better. But there's something precious about this small shell. There's something precious about this piece of the shell. And I have a good friend who used to, probably still does. I think she goes to the beach and collects seashells on a regular basis. It's one of her favorite pastimes. And listening to her as she talks about these shells and how they speak to her, that is exactly what we're doing in this process. And I'm going to reiterate again, collecting images. We're creating images. If you're an artist, oh my gosh, if you can just draw the imagery that comes to mind, if you do the visualization exercise at Visionfest, or one of the past ones, which I'm slowly getting those on the HRart channel from previous years, if you just do that and you see the imagery and you create that and you just artistically let your mind go and then do it, oh my gosh, I'm going to create some amazing, amazing connected canvases. And a connected canvas, the whole intent of it, you feel it here. Like, I have these canvases hanging in my home as works of art. We have a vision hall of past vision, hall of past visions, that is just beautiful to look at because they're created with this level. And I have to add that this hall has been created with boards after we knew what we were doing with the connected canvas, when we made that switch from truly vision boarding to creating connected canvases. All right, so let's talk about number 3. Number 3 is engage in joyful placement. So just as these little girls are building a puzzle, that's what you're doing when you're creating your canvas. So you have your bucket of seashells, you get to dump them out, and you're going to put them on your board, and you're going to figure out which ones belong and which ones don't. And it's not about, because this represents this. It's not your job today or during the creation process to dictate what they mean. It is about how they are vibrating on the board and placement. Some of them you'll just know these don't go together, or this one's so strong I can't let go of this image, even though it takes up 3/4 of my board, and now I have to sacrifice all these other images, but I can't let this go. These vibrations is how that piece of you that holds these precious, precious, intimate desires is speaking to you. This higher knowing is letting you know and tugging at you. And so don't fight that. On top of that, it should be a joyful process. If this is stressful, if you're having anxiety, if you're forcing it, you're not in the right place to create that connected canvas. You want to be in a place of joy. It should be fun. I wholeheartedly, and maybe I'll do it tonight, want to film my girls when they create their happy boards, which is what we call it for the younger kids who create their boards. But they they have so much fun, and they do it in record time. They build their boards because they don't think about anything. They know when they're done collecting. They're very quick to pick what's on the board, what's not. They're okay with releasing images so they can throw paint on there. And a lot of their boards are the ones that I like to use in the social media marketing because they're just so beautiful and so simplistic and so happy. And there is a joy that has to be associated with this. This is trusting and being in a joyous emotion. This vibration of feeling good. That is the vibration you need to be to manifest and live in alignment. It really is about feeling good. And we just talked about that at the beginning of January, feeling good. So those are my 3 ways to do that. Start with centering and intention. The art of gathering, truly viewing it, collect your seashells, and engage in joyful placement. And that will create this beautiful connected canvas. And I love seeing the connected canvases. So if you do one and you're not participating in Visionfest, share them with me. So share them with me. Either find me on Instagram, which I love from the imagery perspective. Find me on Instagram at SAMM Smeltzer and tag me in your connected canvas post, or join us at the HR Intuitive Institute, HRintuitive.com. Post on there in the feed. Let's fill it up with these beautiful connected canvases. I'm going to post mine in there because they're just so awesome. So, yeah, that is what I had for you today. Have to get ready to go because we're going to get ready to finalize the last kind of details to have Visionfest up and running. If you want to participate in Visionfest virtually, because our in-person sessions are filled and we've closed that down, but if you want to participate virtually, you can sign up for our 2 p.m. Eastern Time session or our 7 p.m. Eastern Time session this evening. To get the link, just sign up at leadershipisart.com/vision-fest and pick either the 2 p.m. or the 7 p.m. Virtual create session. That is $20, and I will get you the link and you can participate in that, and I can see you there, and I can see you making the canvases live, which is one of my favorite things to do. Anyways, have an awesome Visionfest, or Vision Day, but we call it Visionfest. Have an awesome Visionfest. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll talk to you next week. Oh, that's what I missed. We have to do our sneak peek for next week's HRart Chat. What? So next week kicks off February, and we're gonna do a whole month. Our curriculum is gonna be on our chat curriculums. Ooh, that's a fancy term. Our chat curriculums are gonna be on self-love. So next week is being able to manifest and allow our dreams to materialize requires us to be grounded, which is almost a counterintuitive action because when we dream, we naturally tend to disassociate from our bodies. This week, I want to share what practices I utilize to keep myself grounded. So next week, I want to talk about a lot of us disassociate from our bodies for multiple reasons, especially when we are struggling with self-love for ourselves. And there are practices that I have used for years. I'm going to tell you how I do that. The other piece of this coming right off of Visionfest, and anyone who is in the active aspect of manifesting. So if you've been doing any manifesting challenges, trying to stay in alignment, if you do not ground yourself, those things are not able to materialize because it is necessary to ground to bring things to life, to actually take action. Otherwise, we stay in dream mode and daydream mode and disassociate and live in kind of that la-la land. So we have to come back down to earth. That is something that I've had to work very hard on. And so I'm going to share with you the practices that are my tried and trues, but also going to share with you the things that I'm working on and I'm struggling with. All right. So now that's everything. So have a great, happy Friday, happy Visionfest, and I will talk to you all next week.